Hello. This morning I'm in my home studio and I am working on some soundtrack pieces, generating ideas for licensing. And it's kind of an interesting process, just trying to invent things from nothing. But I'm going to do that today, and I'm going to walk through kind of the process of how I do that. I have a piece of footage that a friend of mine sent me of a flower that only blooms once a year at night. He happens to have one of these flowers in his backyard, and he's a photographer, so he shot some time lapse footage of that. And I'm going to use that as inspiration for generating a new piece. The idea that I have for this piece is to start with some simple ukulele parts. I kind of play ukulele like a tiny Spanish guitar rather than what you would normally think of as ukulele parts, but I really like the sound of the nylon strings. So we're going to start there, and I'm going to try to layer levels of complexity as the piece goes on over about a minute. But you got to start somewhere. So let's start with some ukulele. Okay, that's about a minute of that initial ukulele thing. And now I want to layer some parts over top that might be in a different time signature or playing different subdivisions in order to grow this idea and create complexity. These are going to fade in a little later than the original part. Let's try a part in 5 over top of that. We'll see if that's something that I can actually pull off here. Okay, I kind of dug that. It was a little loose, but when you have a tapestry of stuff like that that's just flowing, then I think it's pretty cool actually. So let's go with it. So now I've got my trusty Ronin Morari, and I am using a fairly ambient sound, a little bit of whammy ricochet pedal, some of the Catalan bred bicycle delay pedal, and the Diamond Memory Lane 2 delay going into the Fryette GPDI direct into the computer because it's very convenient and it sounds good. And I'm applying a Valhalla DSP vintage verb preset in the box, giving me this big washy ambient sound. So I've come up with a part, some chord changes, and I'm going to experiment with gradually layering them in note by note in my performance. Let's see what happens. think I like that. Let's check it out. Next, I'm feeling some sort of percussion-y drums, not a normal drum part, but something that is just going to be rhythmic and textural. I'm playing with these ProMark broomstick things. Uh, the drum kit is being recorded with a Neumann binaural head that I have on loan, which is an amazing microphone, and I never want it to go away. And I have an SM7 on the kick. No processing as of right now, but I'm sure once I get into the mix stage, I'll start tweaking a little bit. But mostly I'm just going for a rhythmic texture in there. So let's give it a whirl. Cool. I dug that. Next, I'm going to put a bass track down using this, I don't know what year, Ernie Ball Stingray. I'm using an Eventide mixing link as the DI, and in the effects send of that, I have a Diamond Comp SL running in parallel, so I'm blending some of the clean bass sound and some of the compressed sound together, which sounds good to me. So let's lay down some bass. I'm really enjoying this, and the things I like about it are those three ukulele parts. When they get going, there's a little bit of a Steve Reich kind of thing happening where there's multiple time signatures, and the way that things land over each other, they sort of become this one big tapestry of shifting textures, and your at least my brain starts to interpret those as different parts apart from the three parts that the three ukuleles are doing. There's like another two or three things that I hear flowing through there as the different time signatures overlap. So I'm happy about that. And I'm into the chord changes. I like the bass. I'm basically, whenever I'm playing bass, I'm just trying to manifest Tony Levin. So anything that sounds kind of like what he would do is okay by me. And I think the last thing that I want to hear on it is some kind of high pitched, high frequency texture that comes in close to the end that sort of just like brings the soar, not soar as in like bed sores, but soar as in flying to the piece. So I'm going to search around for that. I think it's going to be a guitar generated thing. So I found a part, kind of a high pitched thing, a picking part. Again, using the whammy ricochet, this time on the 2-octave up setting, the diamond memory lane. And I will probably end up doubling this part in some way and applying some effects in the mix. But for now, I'm just going to lay it in as is. Here's what I landed on for doubling that guitar part. I'm using the exact same signal chain as before, except I've applied a plugin called Alter Boy. It's made by Sound Toys, and it's supposed to be like an auto-tuney sort of quantized vocal thing, but I enjoy running other stuff through it because it creates strange and unusual sounds. I really like using things not in the way that they were intended. So here's what that sounds like. I like that it gets a little confused, especially as the delay is feeding it and it's getting multiple notes, and it kind of gets wiggly and wobbly. It sort of reminds me of the very first whammy pedal, like that sound that you hear on the bends. Maybe on Planet Telex, I think is the song, where there's that high guitar part and it's like kind of jumping around because Johnny Greenwood is playing multiple notes into it. Anyhow, but I digress. Here is that part with the other one. I'm going to do that again. The only trouble with doing things like this, sometimes using plugins, is that it creates delay, and you sort of have to play. In this instance, I have to play a little ahead of the beat in order to put it in the right spot. Probably by the time this is done, it'll be in some reverb and delay, and the timing will matter less, and it'll be more about the texture coming in. But I'm going to try my best in order to game the system and play on top of the beat in order to put this in the pocket. Cool. Now I'm gonna mix it. Here we go. Well, there you have it. A piece of music from the very initial idea all the way through to the mix, done in a few hours. Fairly simple, but I think there's enough depth to it that it's interesting and fits the imagery well. If you enjoyed this, if you want to see more videos like this, or you have any questions, please feel free to comment in the comments section or email me at hello@danphelps.com. If you go to my website, you can also sign up for my email newsletter. It's sporadic. I won't spam you, but it's a way to stay in touch, and I'll tell you about some things that I'm enjoying listening to, reading, and what's coming up. And lastly, thank you. Please subscribe to the channel if you like this stuff, and have a good day.